Hello everyone, welcome back to another interesting and power-packed episode of Tea Talks Tuesday. So Hyderabad is pouring continuously from past 2 to 3 days, and this cold weather demands for a tea, and that's how our Tea Talks is here. So we have a lot of interesting updates for this week. So please stay back and just go through the updates. Interesting. I mean, we have come up with an interesting contest for all the nutrition fraternity for this National Nutrition Month. So Dr. Janaki would be announcing very soon about all the details about it. And yeah, welcome back to the episode. Over to you, Dr. Janaki.
So I was just mentioning to you like nothing like a cup of
Cup
tea.
of-
So tea talks and with a cup of tea. And today's topic is all about the tea. So it's going to be very interesting. And before we start off and introduce the speaker for today, I would like to make a small announcement of our National Nutrition Month. How Tea Talks is going to celebrate National Nutrition Month. This is about that. So last time we had a cookery contest, and Chef Ruchika Sharma has come and opened a video, and also many Tea Talks audience participated, dietitians and students also participated, nutritionists participated in this, and we are still yet to um, courier your prizes. I would say we got we are that's the lacune with us in the sense like we got so busy, and afterwards I don't want to blame about corona, but we need some time to do all those things. So though we have prizes with us, they are safe with us, definitely we'll send them to you. But this time we are not going to put any prizes or anything, because first let us send the first year's prizes. So based on the theme for this National Nutrition Month, converging towards a healthy walk through life, we at Tea Talks Tuesday, the main aim of Tea Talks Tuesday is to bring all dietitians and nutritionists and people related to health and nutrition on one stage and showcase them and create a bank of knowledge. So it's almost more than 1.5 years now. So we are in the journey. So based on that, and based on the theme converging towards a healthy walk through life, we want to converge all our dietitians and nutritionists on this platform by uh, introducing themselves, but introduction is not just that you're a dietitian working in so and so a hospital, or you're a faculty working in so and so department. That is one small part of the program, but we want to converge everything at one point of you, the creative you, because how we are, how much creative we are, decides our professional life as well. I have a lot of creativity in me, so I keep creating new things all the time. Uh, so people are very good at creating recipes. People are very good at creating art pieces. They are good at writing. Good at observing things. There's so many things. Good at photography. So there's so many things. So we want to showcase your creativity in this TikToks platform. So all what you have to do is just send us your creative activities in the form of posts, like in the form of pictures, and what all the hobbies and talents you have. We give us the list of hobbies and talent, and related one picture to related to that. If you have two pictures, okay, three pictures, okay, even one picture also okay, but you can send to our mail id, so that we'll uniformly put every day, we'll put one or more than one. If we receive more, then we can put more than one person's interest and showcase them. So I want to show, if that is ready, I want to show the
Yes, sir.
poster to you. So we can say that Dr. Santoshi, this is on in honor of Dr. Santoshi. She is the one who actually, I would say, is opening it today. So the creative you, appreciate yourself, take time to deeply love yourself. We all have amazing talents and hobbies. Share them with Tea Talks with us. That's how we are going to celebrate our National Nutrition Month, converging towards a healthy walk through life. In life, we are professionals. Also, we have number of roles to play, and apart from that, we have our own selves to look after and to think about and to appreciate, to love self. So send your talents, your hobbies to us on ttalks.tuesday@gmail.com. So this is what we want to. Soon we'll post this in the Tea Talks page and account so that you can start sending us. And coming to today's speaker, Dr. Santoshi. Dr. M. Santoshi Kulkarni. She's going to speak about all about the teas today. So I had my cup brewed here. This is Nilofer tea, but I won't ask you about the Nilofer tea anyway. So, mm, so she has completed her education. She has done her PG in University College for Women, Usmania University, and completed her PhD in nutrition. The topic is food safety from Usmania University, Hyderabad. And she also published about 15 papers to her credit in national and international journals, and also in conference proceedings, and completed a project in hygiene and food safety funded by APCOST, EPCOST. So for the last 10 years, she is working as head of the department. Currently, she's working as head of the department, food and nutrition in college, University College of Women, Koti, very famously known as the Koti Women's College, affiliated to Usmania University. And she's academic counselor for various PG, diploma, and certificate courses offered by IGNO and in food and nutrition. And she's active in research and participated in a project by NGO, Consumer Health Foundation, which worked for transforming various food outlets in safe food zones. Maybe we should ask some questions about this, about the safety of street food. Maybe we'll come back to you again to give a talk on safety of street foods as well. But if at all you have any questions about the safety of street foods or anything related to that, maybe she's the one right now to ask a few questions at the end of the talk. And during this period, she also was associated as the third party food safety officer for GE and Janpat. Okay, so that tells the story. So we can ask her some more questions. Okay. Then prior to this, she was working on a project as a project assistant for 3H, that is Hunger, Hygiene and Health Project, funded by Rotary Club International. She is also a member of IDA Telangana chapter since 2000, from 2015 to 2018. I think at the time I am also the member there. I was vice president of IDA. Then she is a reviewer for a couple of national nutrition journals. So presenting Dr. M. Santoshi Kulkarni for you. The stage is yours, Santoshi.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. That's in fact a very kind, my small CV, but I feel more privileged as it was read by you. Also, as before we started this, we would be happy if we can collaborate with regard to the clinical talks also.
Sure.
In fact, one of the areas which most of the students who are aspiring for nutritional aspects would like to have upon. So,
Sure.
with this small introduction, I thank Madam, and then, if permitted, we will get into talk today.
Yes.
So, as Madam is having Nilofer tea today, the session is open for all about teas. So hope everyone also had their, because it's a tea time, had their refreshing drink and then has joined us. Hopefully all our today's viewers. So first let us take a brief introduction of what exactly is the concept of tea. As every one of us know, tea is a aromatic beverage. So this is prepared by pouring either hot or boiling water over fresh or cured leaves of Camellia sinensis. This is a scientific name. So whatever the green tea, etc., which we see, those are all the tea leaves which are fresh, or sometimes they may even be cured leaves. And if we take the statistics, it is found that all around the world, tea stands as the second drink which would be consumed next to water. First, everyone, because it's a life sustaining thing, everyone would have water. So next to the water, tea is next, which would be drunk by most of the individuals. And getting into the history of tea, if we just look at the history, it is grown as an evergreen shrub, which was native to China earlier, but now after during the mid 90s, it was, from there it was also being taken up, that idea, through their emperor, and they started cultivating tea firstly in India, and later Thailand, Vietnam, and Myanmar are also the countries which started cultivating tea. So initially, tea is consumed for its medicinal properties along with other plants and then seeds. That was the idea of drinking tea. But now today, if we stand at this edge and if you look at, basically it has been processed and it is being taken for its value addition. So tea is appreciated for its stimulation property. Most of us also feel refreshed after having a cup of tea. So because of this stimulating property, tea is consumed all over the world. So if you look at the cultivation part, usually tea grows in regions of high altitudes. Assam regions, usually where the estates we have, usually they are like high altitude regions, and tea is mostly grown over there, especially to Indian context I'm talking about. So much of the world's tea is harvested on plantations called as estates or gardens. So wherever the tea is harvested, we call them as estates. And if you take this CAGR, in next 5 years, the production of tea is projected. It is expected to reach by 4.2%. It, in the sense, like, as we are going ahead, the consumption of tea is also going high. So definitely what we can find herein is, this is a growing industry, undoubtedly. So tea is a general name which is given to any infusion of flowers, roots, leaves, or herbs which does not contain tea leaves. So usually it's an infusion. It is not a decoction, because usually we brew this and then we mix milk and then we think it is like, that's how the tea has to be made, but it's only 3 minutes it has to be boiled. So that is stated as infusion. That's a basic difference between the infusion and the decoction. So most common types, there is a difference between a making of decoction as well as infusion. Tea is only an infusion wherein we use the parts of the plants, and which after filtering we consume that. Most common types of tea which we come across in day-to-day life include green tea, oolong tea, and then black tea. And the basic difference among these teas, whatever, apart from these three teas, we also have many types of teas. So the difference is due to the processing method. And there are also many studies published, but which we came across recently. 80% of citizens of USA consume tea. It also even applies to Indian context, but because most of them wants to understand with regard to highly privileged countries. So and also the temperatures also there being very cold, they drink, 80% of the citizens usually consume tea, and it also holds good for Indian context. So consuming tea has become one of the inevitable of our day-to-day life. So everyone, we cannot resist immediately during the breakfast at least, or early morning beverage, or during evening once after you have your lunch about 3 to 4 p.m. It is, the time itself is taken as tea time. So for some people, drinking tea might give relaxation during stressful work also. So apart from this, over a period of time, tea has become a social symbol, say it a party or a formal business. Same as our show also, which we are currently focused, I mean, which we are telecasting. This is also a kind of social gathering where we state it as tea talks. So we also come across a lot of reality shows these days, and they also have utilized drinking tea for marketing and production opportunities. Every morning, a sip of tea from the cup, usually they come, all the celebrities would come up. They also, tea shows, they usually state them. So hereby a new phrase has evolved: every issue can be resolved over a cup of tea. So this we can take it by consuming, because the attention towards tea has been gained a lot of importance. So every issue can be resolved just over a cup of tea. So coming into the compositional aspects of tea, tea holds number of potential antioxidants, and today, because like most of, because of a pandemic, everyone might have become aware and also sensible towards antioxidants, polyphenols. So tea has number of potential antioxidants. It also has got minerals which include potassium, manganese, magnesium, and calcium, which are more important. We in fact call them as major minerals which are needed by the body. So there were many studies published which has reported consumption of tea is associated with reduced cell damage, also cholesterol lowering effects. Thereby, it also aided the weight loss, especially green tea. Over a decade ago, most of the multinational companies, now today I was associated with the GE and Genpact. They're also health drinks, health ahead programs. They were promoting only green tea. So just for weight loss, because there was a drastic change in the lifestyle, and everyone's life has become sedentary. So thereby there was the energy imbalance has resulted in. So they were finding ways and means, and among those ways and means, green tea is one of the option which they have chosen for weight loss. So if you look at the chemistry of tea is complex. Simple it is, like though it is complex, we can just make it as simple as we understand. So on the bush, tea leaves contain thousands of chemical compounds. No doubt any of the leaves would contain chemical compounds. So tea also has got the same kind of chemical compounds. When these tea leaves are processed, soon I will introduce you to the processing technique. When they are processed, the chemical compounds break down and then form complex with another compounds which are present within the leaves, and then form new compounds. So this is what basically would happen during the processing. So one example which I would like to state here is, when you're steeping the tea leaves, thousands of volatile compounds would be tingled by thousands of uh, non-volatile compounds. So thereby a kind of aroma complex would rise. So because of this, tea is known as master of chemical diversity. When you are trying to boil it through hot water, slowly you can get that aroma. So that aroma complex would arise just because of volatile compounds, which usually try to complex with the non-volatile compounds. So what are these volatile and non-volatile compounds present in tea? If you look at them, they are flavonols, which are also called as tannins and catechins. Among the catechins, we have epicatechins, epicatechin gallate, gallocatechin, epigallocatechin, and epigallocatechin gallate. These may sound weird for you, especially who are just into the nutrition course, but these are all the plant components. For every plant, these kind of components, flavonols, alkaloids, catechins, everything would be there. Specific to tea, we have theaflavins, rubigins. So these are the components which has made, or whatever the health benefits we are trying to find with tea, are associated with. So these usually flavonols, what exactly also called as catechins or tannins, these are converted to the so-called thiaflavins or thiarubigins due to oxidation. So once these thiaflavins or thiarubigins are formed, these compounds are responsible for the dark color and robust flavors that are present in oxidized teas. What we usually drink are oxidized teas, and the color is because of their oxidation process. And this only, these flavonols, flavones, isoflavones, all these belong to the category of polyphenols. They contribute to the color as well as the taste and aroma of the tea, what we usually drink. Apart from the polyphenols, we also have certain amino acids. Two amino acids basically important here, which we discuss, would be theanine and L-theanine. So these has got a promoting effect onto the brain's activity. That is why the sense of relaxation would be felt soon after having a cup of tea. So many of them would also feel relaxing during the stressful jobs. So these two theanine and L-theanine amino acids are responsible for this because they are having promotion effect or promoting effect onto the brain's wave activity. Then L-theanine in concert with caffeine. Caffeine is the major compound. Usually caffeine would be one of the compounds under methylxanthine category. So among the methylxanthines, we also have got theobromine and theophylline, which are also the other kinds of methylxanthines. Caffeine is one among them. So this L-theanine, one of the amino acid, would, along with some other compounds, that is a word why I have used concert, combines with caffeine, and this is the reason wherein it can induce a state of mindful alertness. You must have experienced, most of the students, while you are preparing for your competitive exams, etc., not during your intermediate or degree, but at least after, they would like to go for a cup of tea even during the late nights, because that gives you the alertness for you to awake for late nights and then keep yourself refreshing for your studies. And there are also certain enzymes in tea, which, like you, if you see the enzymatic browning of tea is due to polyphenol oxidase. We have just seen two polyphenols which are present, and they do contain enzymes. And the two certain enzymes which are responsible for this coloring of tea are polyphenol oxidase and peroxidase. So this usually, these enzymes are liberated when we crush the tea leaves, and when these crushed tea leaves are exposed to the oxygen. Apart from the enzymes, there are also certain pigments which are present in the tea leaves, and there are two major plant pigments. As we are all aware, chlorophylls are the major pigments usually in the parts of the plant, especially in the leaves, and also carotenoids. See, these usually condense during withering and oxidation. Green chlorophyll degrades and become black pigment known as pheophytin. That is why your green tea usually doesn't look much green. Usually it looks, a tinge of blackness would be seen onto the leaves. And carotenoids get characterized into orange carotenes and yellow xanthophylls. That is wherein they impart the color. So the golden rust color of tea, as here you see after boiling it for 3 minutes, you will see this color. And there would be certain chemistry going inside the kettle. And in tea, there are also certain carbohydrates which usually does not give us any energy, but they are usually playing a role by undergoing oxidation. Thereby, they are responsible for the creation of polyphenols. The very importance of tea is because of the polyphenols which are present, and these chemical reactions to happen, carbohydrates fuel this particular enzymatic reactions. So this is with regard to the components which are present in the tea. Apart from that, processing of tea, if you see how it is, like after picking from the estates, the leaves are picked, there would be a certain, there are also courses available in this particular processing of tea as well as marketing of tea. So first step in the tea production is picking of the leaves, then withering them, steaming them, rolling them, later drying, grading, and the finished product would come out. Usually this entire process holds good for green tea. In between, some steps would be overlooked for other types of tea manufacturing. So types of tea, if you see, fresh leaves are picked. After picking, If they are just steamed and dried, then that kind of tea is called as white tea. And fresh leaves, if they are withered in a process after steaming or pan frying, rolling and drying, that results in green tea. If after withering, shaking, shaking the leaves and partial fermentation of leaves, pan frying after fermentation, drying them, that results in oolong tea production. Without shaking, without steaming, directly if they are rolled and fermented and dried, then results in black tea. So these are the various processing. The list of processing steps remains same, but here and there one or two would be overlooked in production of various kinds of teas. So what basically differs in the production of different teas? This is what which we have to understand. The caffeine content goes high as the fermentation process goes up. And catechins, which are nothing but your flavonols or polyphenols category, the content would be reduced during the process of fermentation. So highest amount of catechins are present in white tea than in black tea. But caffeines are present in black tea more than the white tea because fermentation results in more amount of methyl xanthine production. Caffeine is one of the methyl xanthine. So this is responsible for the alertness of the mind. So there are certain other types of products which are made out of teas. As we have seen, conventional teas, completely fermented black tea is one among them. Unfermented green tea, the fermentation is less in comparison to the black tea. Black tea is completely fermented. Partially fermented, in between it results in oolong tea, which is either yellow or red in color. These are the conventional teas which we come across on day-to-day basis. There are also certain unconventional products. So among the unconventional products, we have flavored teas and then decaffeinated teas. Most of them also do not prefer caffeine content. So decaffeinated teas also are available. Or certain times we also go for cold and hot soluble instant teas. Instant teas in the form of bags, tea bags, etc. They are also available. So they can be either cold tea or the hot soluble tea. So this is how usually products from tea, whatever from tea after plucking of the leaves, this is how they are conventional forms and non-conventional forms would be categorized. So as an example to say, every country has its own kind of processing of tea. So one example, because tea has cultivation has started first in China. If you look at that, in China, around 6 types of teas would be would be produced. Among them, usually it is not unfermented, but usually they state it as unfermented. Slight amount of fermentation would happen, or it is only 5%. Normally that is not taken into consideration. That is a way wherein green tea would be produced. Coming to the fermented category of teas, based on the degree of fermentation, white tea has lowest amount of fermentation underwent, and then dark tea or black tea has the highest grade of fermentation. So next in between you have yellow tea and then oolong tea. Yellow tea is also part of oolong tea. So white tea has got little excess amount of fermentation than the green tea. Next stands the yellow tea, 10% fermentation of leaves would be going up. Oolong tea, 10 to 60% of fermentation. In black tea, around 80 to 85% of fermentation has happened, and dark tea, almost 100% of dark green tea, it is 100% of fermentation of leaves has happened. So due to fermentation, I just have picked up from one of the research article, like, green tea and then black tea. Green tea, as we consider, has got less amount of fermentation, less than 5% or up to 5%, and black tea, 100% of fermentation. The protein content does not vary, amino acids do not vary, fiber contents do not vary. Major components do not vary, but if you check phenolic compounds which are responsible for aroma, etc., and also for the health benefits, you see black tea they are only 5%, but whereas in green tea they are 30%. Total catechins 150 to 200 in green tea, and black tea it is 40 to 60. That how the grade of fermentation goes. Only these two teas were picked up. Theanine, it is 8 to 20 milligrams per gram, and then black tea, it is 5 to 10 milligrams per gram. Theaflavins, which are the oxidized products of polyphenols, it is 0 in green tea, and 5 to 20% you can see in black tea, because fermentation will result in this. And theorubicins also 60 to 180 milligrams per gram of black tea we can see. So here, seeing to this, so far the composition and also the other aspects of tea, one must have, usually might have a question as to how much tea has to be taken. Usually green tea is preferable, and how much, if at all green tea has to be consumed, how much has to be consumed. Green tea may, as we have seen too, caffeine content is less. As oxidation, as fermentation goes high, more amount of caffeine would be present. So green tea, how much ever you drink, it does not really harm you. But when you're drinking black tea or dark teas, we have to restrict our serving. So per day, only 3 cups, approximating each cup to 240 ml. The standard cup size is 240 ml. One is not supposed to drink beyond 3 cups of tea per day, because as you drink more amount of tea, the caffeine content in the tea also do vary. Usually it is 20 to 60 milligrams per cup. That is for every 240 ml, 20 to 60 milligrams of caffeines would be present. So beyond that, if you are, because it is a stimulant, caffeine has got stimulating properties. So if you are drinking beyond this, then the person has chances of getting addiction. And see, no doubt it may not harm, but over a period of time, if this continues, excessive consumption do also have negative health effects. So by virtue of its composition, if you see minerals, etc., fluoride, it is present, lot of fluoride would be present. I mean, because tea is also good, has good composition of minerals as it holds. Excess of fluoride content will lead to osteoporosis, arthritis, and at times it was also proved to be carcinogenic. And caffeine content leads to insomnia, lot of alertness the person would be, and other micro mineral content leads to kidney problems. Though the instances are very meagerly seen in the studies, but still anything beyond a limit, as we dietitians, what do we suggest? Balanced diet. So balancing is what? Understanding the composition and proportion and serving sizes, we do have to restrict to. So if consumed in minimal quantities, all these compounds do definitely have beneficial health effects. So if we look at the various flavors of tea, apart from these types of tea, which depends on the fermentation process, the usually, we also prefer most of the foods based on their flavor. So two main flavors are available with tea. One is like a liquid flavor, which include an emulsion. Most commonly used it is, and dry or encapsulated. Usually these also, which would be under controlled release flavor. Usually when you're taking tea powders only, it gets mixed up. And when you take, when you start consuming teas from these tea shops, whatever your espresso, etc., then you will find these liquid flavors being added, and lots of flavors are available. Apple, lemon, blueberry, caramel, name anything, almost there are about 25 to 30 flavors which are available. And there are also number of brands which have flooded in the market. And this pandemic also has opened up the doors for various types of infusions. Probiotic teas have come up, and mixed cases, cold water infusions. And see, whatever we drink, usually these infusions, kada, etc., they are not exactly the teas, but decoctions would be made. They are usually the content is reduced. We boil them to half and then we consume that. So they never come under the category of teas. But usually this beverage or tea has been unanimously taken for most of the beverages what we drink here. And if you get into the regulatory aspects, because this is my core area, so anything has to go by the regulatory aspect. FSSAI, that is one of apex body of India, Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, define tea as the tea that should be acceptable by process exclusively from the leaves, buds, and tender stems of plant of Camellia sinensis. Apart from this, anything if it is used, it cannot be named as tea. And it can be in the form of either oolong tea or the black tea. And it also has proposed certain standards for green tea, which prohibits the use of any coloring substances in tea, because green tea too, as I said, after oxidation, certain black tinge would be seen. So to retain that or to restore that, certain times coloring agents also are being used. So as per the standards of FSSAI, it is it should, it prohibits usage of any coloring substances. Also, FSSAI has directed and permitted the use of 0.2% pectinase enzyme for the enhancement of flavoring characteristics in tea. So these are certain regulatory aspects with regard to tea. And knowing about tea and having as a refreshing drink is not the only the cup of today's talk, because the industry is growing and also it has got lot of career options and career opportunities. So if you see, tea business in India is also flourishing with increasing number of consumers. But however, for the sustenance of business, compliance with regulations is must. So anybody with regulatory norms and setting up of firms, if you are coming forward, definitely it is also opening doors for career, and growth of industry has called for employment in areas such as research, plantation management, tea taster panelists, and consultancy. So these are the career prospects. Because most of the students would be joining us, I felt the necessity, at least whatever the career prospects would be available, let me share with you all. Also, there are certain openings as factory managers where the work involves supervision of all plantation work, as whatever the process we have seen, processing of tea made, right from planting, plucking, processing, and packaging them, transporting to warehouses for auction, etc., for the dealers. This entire process has to be taken care by the factory manager. So it in fact is under MBA degree, but exclusively only for the tea industry. So for to conclude my talk, I would say, end of the day, tea is a booster for common man, supplying few calories. Most of the poor people, they do consume tea because it is not a refresher for them, because there is certain amount of milk getting into it, definitely gives some amount of calories. And it's a stimulation to work and status symbol to a mediocre, and connoisseur of royalty to a rich person. So tea, every cup of tea has, every man has their own options as well as their own status for it. In a nutshell, it is need of majority. Today, we, most of us usually rely on making it as an inevitable drink or relishing drink. So this link which I have shared herein, you have lot of courses which are being offered with regard to the tea management. So from there, the placements also, whatever we have discussed with regard to career opportunities also are being available. So anyone who is interested can have a look at this website. So that's all for today's talk. It's over to Janaki ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Santoshi. So very crisply and you defined it so very well, and you put all points together, including the career prospects, because some of the students who are interested in this can look into this, and also you have presented links for that as well. So thank you for that. So the forum is open for questions. Any questions?
Yeah, we have a question on Facebook by Mansi Patil. She's asking, does the method of preparation of tea impacts its nutrition efficacy or composition?
That's what we have discussed, like not exactly with regard to major nutrients. There won't be, even fermentation does not really have any effect onto the macronutrients, but definitely the polyphenols, the micronutrient content, there will be a difference.
There's a slide that is showing in that. So
yeah,
can Mansi can actually go back.
I guess she has asked it before this slide. Before the slide.
Yeah, right. She can look into that.
Yeah.
Can we stop the screen
share?
Yeah. All of you, if anybody who wants to show your faces, please, you can open your videos.
Sir.
Hello, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, everybody. And it is very nice to listen to Dr. Santoshi Lakshmi, and it has been very exclusively composition the tea and how to make it as a big tea. I think Tea Talks has got a big tea now, and we had a big tea composition more rational and scientific. So thank you for that. I would like to ask a question.
We'll come up with a brand Tea Talks.
Sure. Blue Jay, we will make a Blue Jay brand tea now.
Yeah.
I think so. I can able to do it that also. So think one thing, a cup of tea has got some restriction of a cup of 3 teas per day, isn't it? You said to them. What was the component of nutritional support management will have on a cup of tea, on 3 cups of tea on an individual? I don't think so. Can you use as a supplement for some time?
Unless it is mixed with milk, as such, the nutritional component does not add up to tea, except for
Yeah.
those
See,
antioxidants.
this is what I say is very oftenly in therapeutic nutritional. We support a patient diet with a cup of tea to have the peristaltic movement for the individual. We oftenly give 250 ml of tea for the patient, and we don't much emphasize on the nutritional value of the tea. The cup of 250 ml milk, so 250 ml of tea, how much milk it contains? It contains just 100 ml, 70 to 100 ml. And the amount of caffeine and the amount of the tea powder, it is not even less than 5 grams, isn't it?
Yes, true.
I don't think so. But definitely the satiety value and the way it gives freshness to the individual is most important than the nutritional supplementation to the patient.
Apart from this, we have sugar in that, sir. We have sugar.
Yeah, actually, nowadays people are asking us to not to add sugar. And they're scared of sugar. How much sugar you will add in a cup of tea? 5 grams of cup of sugar in a cup of tea, 5 to 7 grams. Sir. How much calories that comes from that? It is going to affect the individual health.
No,
these false dogmas which have been on the market, and being scientific people, we must convince the people that to have a proper tea for the sake of not only nutrition supplementation, it has something to do with other things. No, peristaltic movement is the most important factor in the morning. Unless until it is been initiated, I think so the day will go lost to him. Morning, when before he comes out of the house for work, the most important factor is that what I personally believe in it. And I halfly used to have a cup of tea, beautiful cup of tea for all my patients when I was working.
Okay.
If things are not bad at other way, but the morning cup of tea which we give to the patient is mostly flavorable and beautifully quantity, and to have a more impact on freshness and peristaltic movement. I don't think so. Nobody is focusing on peristaltic movement with the tea. I think so. It has Janaki has to tell, because she is more scientific rather than go through with the information.
Unmute, doctor. Unmute.
Yeah. So anyhow, the beautiful composition lecture, I allowed it and liked it, and I enhanced my knowledge also. Thank you for the speaker.
Thank you, sir. Everyone here is well read, and presentation is very good, and it's quite scientific, sir. Everyone is doing their best in tea talk. Thank you so much, sir. Dr. Anjali, you have a question. Maybe you can ask directly.
Thank you, Dr. Santoshi, and thanks, Mayuri, and thanks, Dr. Janaki, for an exciting topic on tea. My favorite subject, I think. I love tea and I cannot live without it. Like one statement which I make for everyone. So, Dr. Santoshi, I have a question. I saw a patient about 2 years ago. This person was in Japan, and he was somebody from Hyderabad who was posted there. So in Japan, people have the habit of having green tea in small shots, right? Small quantity cups.
Yes.
So this gentleman was having, this big mug of green tea, not just once, but he would have with his Japanese colleagues at least 10 times, they'll have small shots of it in Japan. So he continued doing it when he came back to India too, okay? So when he came to our clinic, so he had a heart rate which has gone down to 23. So
Oh my God.
you can understand it has almost gone to bradycardia, not even bradycardia. He would be an idle person who would need a pacemaker, and there was a cardiac arrhythmic event happening with her. So this is a good story which I wanted to bring about in this talk is we have to drink something in the time when it has to be drank, in the quantity how it has to be drank, not mugs and mugs of green tea. And the saddest part is nobody was able to understand what was the reason of his arrhythmia, what was the reason of his bradycardia. Okay, so it was like me and another doctors, we were trying to bring about what was going on change in his Japanese lifestyle versus Indian lifestyle. So after he went to a cardiologist also, but we were not able to put 1+1 and 2, that everything was green tea related. Okay. So then we tried to dig up his whole history about what happened in Japan and what happened in India. And then we could correlate that it was green tea, which was a major culprit behind his heart rate. So what's your take on that, Dr. Santoshi? How much quantity should one have if one wants to have a green tea?
As I mentioned you, 240 ml per cup, unless we are focusing on caffeine content, because definitely caffeine leads to insomnia and other disorders. There, if it is black tea or dark tea, we are restricting to 3 cups. But otherwise, too much of your polyphenols are also not very good for health, because there is a restriction. So it can go up to 5 to 6 cups, exactly the double amount, not beyond.
Yeah.
But because the appetite, etc., also would be reduced by drinking too much of tea. Definitely, that will have an impact on to appetite. Because as Sir also has stated, definitely yes, I also agree with Sir. Because we have been grown with that intuition, like you have been tuned to that peristaltic movement. So definitely, it impacts the peristalsis of the gut.
So does tea, the green tea impacts the heart rate in some form or the heart rate?
No.
Not at all. If that was the case, if not only tea, we also had since Indian tradition also has got a lot of herbs, etc., being consumed. That also has got a lot of polyphenols, if not tea. So that would have been initiated. So directly it does not really impact.
All right. Thank you so much.
Any questions?
As of now, no questions, doctor. Everyone has liked the session. It's like Avanti ma'am saying nice session, Santoshi, Priyanka Singh, too good. And yeah, Mansi, everyone liked the topic, very interesting topic. So these are the comments on Facebook. And some of your student by name Sindhuja is also watching. So she just said hi to Santoshi. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Does I have a couple of questions, but does it kill appetite drinking tea before food? Some of my clients do that, so that they can eat less.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, it is. It is as Sir also has stated, definitely, because usually we do not go by the dark teas, etc. Little amount. It does not really act as an appetizer, but it acts because stimulation properties goes high. When stimulation happens, definitely your call for hunger would be subsided. When your brain is activated, usually your digestion process won't be appropriate. So that effects are definitely there by drinking a cup of tea before food.
Yeah, many people who want to lose weight, they'll have a cup of tea before having food.
But that should be with the low calories, not exactly with milk
Of
and.
course, they take without sugar and without milk and all that whatnot. Coming to Dr. Anjali's question, whether tea decreases heart rate or not, especially green tea. Actually, I believe the tea actually increases the heart rate. It is a stimulant. So probably drinking too much of must have done something, some mechanism we have to actually elicit, which has decreased his heart rate. Like say, for example, I can take the example of alcohol. Alcohol, if taken in small quantities, it actually widens the blood vessels.
Yeah.
The same thing,
vasodilatation.
Vasodilatation will be there. Then suppose if you take the same thing in large quantities, it does the opposite. So could some kind of a hypothesis like this we can think about when people drinking mugs and mugs of tea and some organ getting affected.
Alcohol is a fermented product. Here, if you see the green tea, the fermentation amount is very low. So, as Madam also Janaki ma'am states, I think we also have to evolve out with the mechanism, like what it could be, which relates to either increase of heart rate or decrease, whatever it would be. But yes, definitely anything beyond a certain measure do harm health. Anything should be in limits.
And also in Japan, the green tea is totally different.
Mhm.
The green tea which
Yeah.
we drink are generally available is different. And in Japan, the green tea is the real green tea.
Yes.
It will be really, it really looks green also.
As the processing varies from
The
country to country, yes, definitely.
processing is different. So one more question. Does the tea cause ulcers? As said, we see tea and cigarette, people drinking tea and immediately having a cigarette.
Yes.
Most of this marketing personnel who to kill the time and they while waiting and all, they
Yes.
do this.
Rather than
Both
tea,
in combination.
Yeah, both in combination actually.
Yeah.
see, rather than tea, I would say it is the stress which which really
Okay.
leads to ulcers, not exactly tea. But
Okay.
the tea which they drink also may not be really that stimulating for the ulcers, because it is giving certain support into the gut. So it is the stress.
Okay.
It may add up to the further deterioration of the factors, but as such,
No
uh,
direct.
no
No
direct
direct.
impact of consuming tea with a cigarette.
Okay.
One question.
Sir.
See, what is the pH of the tea? Actually, it has got anything to do with the erythema.
pH,
So it is
sir,
you say it's a vasodilator, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what is the pH of the tea after adding milk? If not, non-adding teas are different with adding teas different. What is the pH and what you suggest for the pH of the tea?
it's a question to me or to Dr. Anjali, sir?
So the person was drinking tea only, like just simple water and the green tea leaves. And this has happened when he was in Japan. He was having the tea in Japan, and when he came to India, that's when the arrhythmia and the bradycardia was kind of diagnosed, and the doctors were not able to
And it
correlate.
is, yes, I
Yeah.
think so. It's needed some extensive research on actually. The tea drinking at Japan is the reason for their languidity. I think that
Yeah.
they live more and more number of years.
Yes.
And don't say no. Papi chirai annadu. It's not like that. No. So tea is one major component. Fish and tea was been identified as to be languidity of the life of a Japanese.
Japan.
What a very strange. We need some amount of extra attention to see that how best the tea can be analyzed and bring it into the focus that it's a part of our life. No.
And even in
And now you
Britain,
people says green tea, white tea, black tea, gold tea. What is that teas? What is?
Silver
And
tea.
everything is a marketing strategy which we keep away from that actually. Real tea and the real Indian tea, what they say is Indian tea, doesn't have any impact on health or are to be modified.
Yeah.
In a proper, it becomes a therapeutic diet for the people. How best we can utilize it? This is the questions to be answered.
The pH
I
of
think
the
another
tea is
question.
around, it is acidic, sir. So it is around
Yeah,
around
that's
five,
Yes.
and it is also turbidity and acidic in this way. So it will be around 5 or 5.5 or so. And milk is again more similar to our body fluids. So it will be around somewhere 6 plus pH milk. So if you add milk, and again sugar is slightly acidic
Acidic.
actually. So probably it will together sugar, milk, and tea together maybe around somewhere 6.8, 6.5, 6.2 based on how much milk, how much tea, how much sugar you are adding. So pH may not really cause anything. And probably this client of you, Dr. Anjali, needs a dietitian who can elicit the entire information, in the nutrition care process, and see, apart from in Japan, apart from tea, they also drink sake every day probably, or beer, and also wine. So many other things which will cause
But
problems
the
probably.
question, yeah. But another question was like we Indians, we make a masala chai with a lot of milk and sugar and herbs, right? It's like kind of broiled for quite some time. And
COVID
that's when we
situation
get the
where you
flavor
find
of spicy.
ginger tea, pepper tea. See, this is a traditional. Dharani will come into picture now. Dr.
Yeah.
Dharani used to say integrated dietetics. When we add these things, they will develop that. This is actually, we are just confused with all the type of trends of this one suggesting it through social media. And we don't know how far it is true, but people are not getting harmed. People are trying it. No, it's a big business, and I think so good practice also. I feel.
Masala infusions one can have. Masala infusions one can have. Dr. Anjali, you are saying something.
Yeah, so our Indian tea is full of milk and sugar and is boiled for quite some time versus a tea which is like an English breakfast tea, which
Who said that Indian tea has got more milk? No, Indian don't get milk. Milk production is very less in India, and we try to see that we take 20 ml in 100 ml of tea. Oftenly we get 150 ml of tea with 20 to 25 ml of milk only. It is not big milk. If it is crosses more than 50% of your liquid at the 75 ml, then we will consider it. We take very less in, almost it is a black tea. The milk adding is very, very less. See, if I get a half packet of milk, 10 people will drink it with a cup of tea. So you just proportionately take it. The milk consumption of tea in the tea is very less in India. And if you go to Europe and other countries where milk abundant is there, they use more abundant milk. Not even if you go to a cup of tea here at 150 ml cup of tea, I analyzed recently. This contains is more amount of water, and the amount of tea powder is also very less. But adding pepper and adding ginger and adding a lot of things will give you the amount of palatability improvement in the name of a good health of getting things right. I don't know, one piece of ginger will give you that much of health. I would have been taken ginger every day 100 grams. See, this type of propagation goes on in social media and other things. We scientific people necessarily to be say that you can have for the sake of palatability and drinking in a different flavors, it's okay. But its impact.
But ginger definitely gives some kind of relief from congestion. So I think that is the purpose of drinking ginger tea.
When we talk of, I strongly say this one. When we talk of allopathic way of treating the patient in nutritional therapy, MNT, and we are integrating with the other sides of yoga, again, this comes to Ayurveda, Yunani, and all this. Even turmeric has been added. And yesterday, just I was taking it. I said to him, prepare that turmeric. People are adding
golden latte
of turmeric also. Yellow tea, green tea, all this will have a fancy of approaches. But do you feel that it gives some?
It definitely gives some relief to the person. I feel, at least by drinking that way, it gives definitely some relief. Ginger tea, pepper tea. And also we generally, as you said, Dr. Anjali, milk tea is generally used in some sects, milk tea and kadak chai and all. But by definition, tea has to be boiled only for 3 minutes, not more than that.
Yeah.
But what we do is
it will become bitter
if water, sugar and everything and boil. So that changes the tea flavor altogether. On top of it, we'll add some more masala to. There's a tea masala available.
But anyhow, this is a very good lecture where we have been initiated to micro level thinking of the tea, and it makes sense. No, let us have a beautiful session on tea and its preparation and how it is going to be impact on on the health of the people.
Sir, invite us for tea, sir. High tea at your place.
Yeah. So I'm coming very soon to open my restaurant here at Kukatpalli Housing Board Colony. We will have a beautiful session here at my place. I invite everybody at the time and see that the tea will be given in a different concept.
Yes.
Soon I will put a message to you. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Please, sir. Yeah. We'll
thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Dr. Santoshi. And it's nice presentation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
So one last question we have on Facebook. Samatha is asking, can it be taken, tea, can it be taken on empty stomach every day? Will it interfere with the absorption of the other nutrient when taken along with the tea? Maybe is it like food or what? I don't know, but she mentioned it as, will it interfere with the absorption of the other nutrients taken along with tea?
Yes, in fact, research studies also state that the tannins of tea do interfere with certain amount of substances with their absorption. But as such, as a beverage, like I mean, as we are not supposed to take any kind of these foods which are interference in either with food or like immediately after consuming food. That is definitely yes. It can be consumed in the early morning. It does not really impact anyways onto the health. It's in fact a stimulant.
Okay.
Yeah, it impacts peristaltic movement as said by Dr. Sir. And also we have this habit of having chai after biryani in Hyderabad.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Immediately.
In fact, that initiates digestion, they say.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So she's also asking, what is the time interval had to be maintained? Like immediately after the food, like what is the time gap to be maintained to have a tea?
At least 2 hours, 2.5 hours, because the stomach should be emptied. So 1.5 hours it takes for the food gut to be emptied. So post which I mean, they can have the tea. At least 2 hours of time.
Of any meal.
Any meal. To have not to have an interference.
Yeah. Sindhuja, you can go through the session once again so that you'll get the answer. She's asking actually, what is the name of the tea where we add milk to it? Is it oolong tea? She's asking.
No. That oolong,
Black
dark
tea.
or green teas, it is all because of fermentation they are named. But usually it again depends on how we prefer. Not necessarily tea has to be consumed only with milk.
Only black tea can be added, milk can be added. It actually tastes good with the milk because of the caffeine content. As you said about the fermentation, does it increase the probiotic activity because of the fermentation, if by any chance?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. In fact, these days, even the probiotic teas are also onto the shelves of the market.
Yes.
So basically, definitely, yes. Fermentation do promote, biotic organisms in that. But for that matter, if we see too, as such organisms may not be present, but the end products or byproducts of their metabolism would be present in the teas.
Okay.
Same as the alcohol, as you mentioned.
Okay.
It's the fermentation, the result of fermentation, which leaves the byproducts.
Okay. Okay.
Bioteas are available onto the shelves these days.
Yeah, biotea.
Yeah.
So they are adding encapsulated bacteria
Bacteria.
when it gets dissolved in the hot water and becomes active.
But the temperature also we have to check for those living organisms for them to be viable.
Yes.
Okay.
So any more questions? It's a very nice, refreshing talk.
Yeah. take on having tea after biryani. Samantha is asking.
Yes, no, as madam mentioned, like in fact, it has no association which would really enhance the digestion, but it's only as how the takers would be taking. If you feel as it is a stimulant, as such, it has got those property. So it would awaken because high amount of biryani would also leads to kind of sleepfulness. So that may activate, energize them. That's how.
It's more of a psychological thing rather than
any metabolic activity going beyond.
Yeah. It's a culture, basically culture topic. So that point is very good. As you said, after eating the biryani, one may feel sleepy, relaxed, and also to make them active again, so they will have a cup of chai.
But tea is not really associated with the biryani or fats.
Yeah.
True. Yes, doctor, we are almost done with all the questions for today.
Great.
Yeah.
Great talk and really refreshing talk and much wanted on Tea Talks. So once again, we want to announce about the National Nutrition Month celebrations, about converging towards a healthy walk through life, where we want all of you, all dietitians and nutritionists, our students, or faculty members, or members of the college who want to participate in this, please send in your hobbies or talent pictures and the list of that so that we'll make a poster and post it in Tea Talks. we want to showcase your talents and hobbies. This is just, all of us converging at one point, because Tea Talks is basically showcasing nutritionists and dietitians. So we want to showcase dietitians and nutritionists, calling dietitians and nutritionists and health professionals. That's why I'm saying health professionals, because Dr. Anjali is here. So please post your dance pictures to us and other talents and hobbies, so that we can showcase here in Tea Talks Tuesday. That is celebrating National Nutrition Month. The entire month we will showcase all the pictures received as it is, and we'll make a poster and post it. So I'm going to post tomorrow one, and Mayuri is going to post. And Anjali, if you send, we'll post that yours too.
So you are already getting the reference. Yeah, people have already started sharing their talents. So
Super,
we are receiving. So hopefully, we expect a wider, more participation from all the audience and make it more interesting. Let all know what talent you have other than the nutrition. Nutrition is definitely is there. But we want to see the other side of the, nutritionists.
Other side, open your other side.
Other side. So Kunj Bihari sir wants to say something, I guess. Sir, unmute and please say it. Unmute.
Sir, you have to unmute you. Unmute.
Mute.
Sir, unmute.
See, that I want to say that Dr. Anjali was so beautiful in that talented videos she posted in the Facebook. For the last few days, I was looking. She does what not dance, what not she want to communicate with others. It's very nice to see her. Let her be on the focus at your Tea Talks. Dr. Anjali, I think so, respond properly.
She's the core team of Tea Talks, sir.
It's very nice.
I'm the mascot for Tea Talks.
Yes.
And I love to see her postings in Facebook with different concept and reaching the people with a different mode. This is really good. She is really, I was fascinated to see her postings. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Yes. So I would like to thank Santoshi, Dr. Santoshi, for being on Tea Talks and giving us this wonderful, delightful session about teas on Tea Talks. So looking forward to see you once again on Tea Talks with your core area of hygiene and food safety and all. So hopefully we'll come back once again to you. And Team Tea Talks thanks you for being here. Thank you so much, Santoshi.
Thank you, Mayuri. I also thank organizers, especially Janaki ma'am, for inviting me for this show. And ma'am, I'm very grateful to you for giving an opportunity, at least, to, in fact, show me in a different perspective, because we are used only for the classroom teaching. So as I would be glad in case if whatever the initial discussion we had, if that also would materialize, soon I will be looking forward for that, for converging of dietitians and nutritionists, same as your work proposal. If that also materialize, I would be standing in the forefront with gratitude. So there are colleges coming up for masters, and there is dearth of faculty for nutrition. No qualified nutritionists are being able to conduct the classes. So definitely this platform would surely give certain enlightenment for the students who are trying to have insights into the subject. So,
thank you so much, Dr. Santoshi. Definitely will do that program. We'll initiate in this month of National Nutrition Month. We'll initiate that. Probably in a couple of days, we'll call you and then we'll discuss and have just a structure and structure it and go accordingly.
Definitely, ma'am. Sure. Thanks a lot. Thank you once again for giving me this opportunity.
Our pleasure.
Our pleasure. Yeah. So see you all next Tuesday, same time, same place. Actually, we'll be meeting in Nutrition Month.
Yes.
Okay. Chalo. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.